This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist Evan Thomason.
Welcome on to your First Alert Weather Breakdown. I'm meteorologist Evan Thomason here, back again. It's good to be back on First Alert Weather Breakdown. We took or at least I took a 2-day break from the stream for various reasons. First of all, Monday was the last time I've been on this. We previewed last time we talked, me and you. We were preparing for First Alert Weather Day that happened on Tuesday. Obviously, it went to fruition. We had a good amount of tornado warnings, and as by the news on our KSLA that we've been talking about in our some of our web articles on our KSLA.com site, there have been, I believe it's somewhere in the ballpark of, I think it's 4, if not 5, confirmed tornadoes within the Arklatex. 2 of those, I believe, around Caddo and Bossier Parish, around the Shreveport-Bossier region. One was just around Blanchard. The other one was, I think, by the Louisiana Downs on the east side of Bossier. The other 2, one's in Harrison that was confirmed. The other one was in Sabine Parish. So that's the latest we know. EF1s, I believe. I think that's all of them have been confirmed as EF1s. I could be standing correctly. Anyways, I'm just trying to recap Tuesday and tell you that Tuesday we were not on the First Alert Weather Breakdown because I was trapped on air, covering all the tornado warnings during that day that were ongoing throughout the live stream. So that pretty much was what we would be talking about on First Alert Weather Breakdown anyways, was those ongoing tornado warnings. On top of that, yesterday was my scheduled day off. I had that day off scheduled about a month in advance for something I had to get to late Tuesday night. It was like one of those things where I could have gone into work Wednesday if I didn't want to do any sleep. But point was, I took yesterday off. CJ took good company for you guys yesterday, and now I'm back on here for your Thursday back again. We got a lot to get to here for the day today, including a recording of a Met chat that we have that I think all y'all will appreciate that we have here for the day today, because I know some of y'all come on. That's usually one of our big hits here for this podcast, it seems, is when all 4 meteorologists get together for the Met chat. Now, I will do an exclaimer here for this week, is that there are only 3 meteorologists on this week's Met chat. Chief Meteorologist Matt Jones was not able to make the Met chat this week. Kind of a rare instance. I think in recent weeks he wasn't able to do it. He wasn't able to do it in prior weeks, I think 2 weeks ago. But we determined this week that we just wanted to do just the 3 of us, me, Austin, and CJ this week. And I think we determined that would be fine in the grand scheme of things. So we answered the question, why is most severe weather in the spring? I'll kind of dive into that a little bit later. But first, we're going to go into our local forecast, which includes looking at warmer temperatures and also looking at chance of rain here just in time for the weekend. Yeah, it's our next system that is hitting us after the one that hit on Tuesday. Today is day number 2 of us enjoying nice, beautiful sunshine and blue skies, which we'll show you here in just a moment. But, yeah, we have our next system on the horizon, which unfortunately is going to target your weekend plans. Now, exclaimer, I'm going to go into full detail about this later, but I will say that the storms looking to come in here into the Arklatex Saturday, not entirely impressive. So it is certainly not going to be looking like what it was on Tuesday. Let me say that first and foremost. It's going to be rain still regardless, but I don't think it's going to contain nearly as anything severe as what we saw just 2 days ago. So let's get into the full forecast here for you. Window World Skycam as I start to get control of all of our weather graphics here. There we go. Again, live look at the beautiful blue skies and sunshine there in the Arklatex. I mean, that's abound. If anything, you're seeing some high cirrus clouds. Those are always pretty. Those are always nice and unharmful here in the Arklatex. So you might find a little more cloud cover as we get further on into the afternoon. We got a little wave of moisture, technically, that's coming in from the west, but most of that's just going to be cloud cover at best. I'm not expecting any chance of rain here from today or tomorrow. The biggest headline this morning, it continues to be the cold temperatures, although I will say temperatures are rapidly rising, all thanks to that sunshine that we're slowly getting ourselves out of here for the day today. And that's actually pulling us on a nice warming trend, at least for the next 2 days alone. So that'll be fantastic to see here in the Arklatex. at least into today and into tomorrow. But the weekend's a different story. The weekend, not only do we cool things down, but we cool things down with rain and with storms. That's mainly affecting us on Saturday compared to Sunday. We'll get into that full weekend forecast for you coming on up. But right now, temperatures are reaching the mid-50s here for today. Again, well, keep in mind, we started off this morning just 3 hours ago in the mid-30s. So temperatures have already risen by a solid 20 degrees just within the past 2 to 3 hours around the Arklatex. So that's really impressive here into our local domain. So, again, you start out with a little bit of a cold morning, but our temperature outlook, again, as I kind of mentioned a little earlier, is that we have some warm temperatures that are building in for the short term of things. So between this afternoon and tomorrow afternoon, we continue to see temperatures that are warmer than the previous day. By the time we get into tomorrow, I'm actually not going to spoil it. You have to wait until the 7-day forecast to see actual numbers. But then essentially the main story here is that we cool down for the weekend a good bit before getting warm temperatures back into the Arklatex here for the start of next work week. So guess what? You could describe this as a roller coaster. It's going to be up and down the hills, so to speak, for the next week. So hopefully your sinuses are okay. That's kind of one of those forecasts where you just have to kind of pay attention every single day and kind of, use it to adjust your wardrobe because it could be fluctuating and changing from day to day. All right, so for our future track temperatures, highs this afternoon getting up into the mid-60s, mid to upper 60s at that. And then, again, warming trend. That doesn't just include the afternoon temperatures. That means our morning temperatures also increasing as well, getting up into the, or I should say only dropping into the lower 50s here for tomorrow morning before tomorrow afternoon. Oh, man, mid to upper 70s are all around the Arklatex, and then much cooler weather on the way for the weekend. Notice Saturday afternoon, some of our highs might not even reach 60 degrees. Impressive. And all that, again, is because of rain. Rain in the Arklatex. We're expecting rain pretty much for a good portion of the day, sadly. I don't think it's going to be a complete washout by any means. I don't think we're getting consistently rained on for the entirety of the day, but I'd say a good portion of the day. Thunderstorms are possible with this system coming on through, but the severe weather risk is looking low. I will say it's not looking non-existent, but is looking low. And then we have cooler air on top of that as well that we kind of just discussed. All right, future track. So heading into the system for today and tomorrow, no chance of wet weather. You might face some passing clouds on by, but then you get into Saturday. That's when we see those persistent storms come on in. This could continue all day, Saturday morning, even into Saturday night as well. Some of these little cells pretty much popping up anywhere around the Arklatex. And then heading into Sunday morning, there's some chances for some light rain even possible trickling into that area as well. All right, so severe weather risk. Yeah, we do have a little chance. There is a marginal risk in the southern half of the Arklatex with those storms here for the day on Saturday that we want to keep you first alert about. Again, this is a marginal risk. Just so you know, the severe weather that we had back on Tuesday had an enhanced risk all across the Arklatex, and that was level 3 out of 5. Level 2 out of 5 usually means you might get a stray chance of there might be a little severe weather coverage around the region, especially with some strong winds, but it may happen. Essentially, marginal risk is just like a just-in-case barrier put together by the National Weather Service. It's like, well, it's not a 0% chance of it happening, but it's not looking likely, so to speak. So that's kind of, I guess, the messaging behind that in a way. Anyways, here's a in-depth look at your weekend here. Again, rainy Saturday. Some of the rain could also trickle into Sunday morning, although I will say a good portion of the day on Sunday, and I think most of the region on Sunday is looking to be fairly dry, so if you're looking to get out and around, maybe do some errands, do some fun activities outdoors, Sunday is your day to do so, although look at the high temperature, 58 degrees. Oof. And not only that, don't forget to spring forward this weekend. Unfortunately, this is our weekend that contains one less hour than usual. If you flip the clock from 2 a.m. Sunday to 3 a.m. So watch out for that briefly. 67 here for the high today, 77 on Friday, then right back down to 60 as a high for the weekend, both days, and then highs ramp up real quick into the 70s, basically, once we get into next work week. Also, lows, if I can remove my face, lows could get down to the 40s to start next work week, but No temperatures not certainly getting as chilly as what we faced this morning. Definitely with lows that were down into the 30s. You remember this morning? Ooh, oh man. Well, thankfully, looks like we're not seeing that for quite some time at all. More comfortable. All right, coming up next, we have a look at the Met Chat. I'm going to go straight into the Met Chat after a little commercial break. That'll last 2 minutes. It'll be me, CJ Cartledge, Austin Evans. We're going to delve into why is severe weather in spring. I'll discuss more on that in the Met Chat recording up next. See ya. Hey, welcome on to the first Solar Weather Breakdown. I'm meteorologist Evan Thomason. Thanks for watching our Met Chat here with meteorologist Austin Evans on today, and so is meteorologist CJ Cartledge. If you do see, there's usually a quad box here. We are missing one of our peeps, so to speak. Chief meteorologist Matt Jones could not make it this week, and that's why I always consider like these Met Chats kind of a blessing in disguise, because it's sometimes difficult for all four of our schedules to mesh, and this week it just did not work out. A couple different reasons, but anyways, we got 3 out of the 4 of us. We passing 75%. Is that a passing grade?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. It's
Trust me. When I was in college, I figured out a C was a passing grade.
That's what I was gonna say. I bet. All right. So, anyways, we had a beautiful week. We're recording this just so you know on Monday. We're not even talking about our first alert weather day, which has already technically happened at the airing of this recording. But we're not going to be talking anything about all that today. We're keeping everything generic. We're going over mainly severe weather season. Obviously, it's ramping up. First alert weather day was in effect for Tuesday. Yeah, so we're kind of just ramping up our severe weather coverage as we head into the March, April, and May months. And this is always kind of usually the time where our tornadic season really ramps up, not just across the Arctotex, but kind of just across the many areas of regionally around the country, especially for Oklahoma, that kind of thing. So we wanted to answer the question of why is it springtime that we always get these tornadic activities kind of thrown our way? Why isn't it winter? Why can't we have that'd be cool. Snow tornado, like a snow blizzard. Why isn't that a thing? Why don't we have them typically in fall or summer? Like they could happen during all these months, but it always goes back and kind of tailors back to the spring season. It just for like a synonym before I toss it off to somebody else. It's kind of just like how hurricanes only happen during hurricane season, which is in the summer. So yeah, if anybody wants to go ahead and kind of just suggest a
one of the reasons why you believe that kind of these severe weather events always kind of tailor to occur in the spring months?
Um, I'll start it off. So something that I was taught and believe wholeheartedly is that the weather and the atmosphere like to be in balance, and severe weather is one of the ways that the atmosphere likes to try to balance itself. And the springtime is a transitionary period. We are transitioning from the cold season to the warm season, and that the air masses being kind of at odds with each other, the cold air masses, the warm air masses being at odds with each other, coupled with, the jet stream is still fairly south at this point. It's on its way north, but still fairly south. So we get those cold fronts. We get those cold fronts meeting the warmer air that's coming up from the south, and thus the severe weather is possible. You'll notice that even in the winter, when we get severe weather situations, usually on warmer days, coupled with a cold front. So the transitionary period causing the likelihood of severe weather increasing is, it just makes sense from an atmospheric and physics standpoint. um, and that's why we have a slightly lesser known but still present severe weather season in the fall, because that is also a transitionary season from the warm back into the cold season. So it's mainly, at least from what I can tell, transitionary. uh, because once the summer hits and it's blazing hot, hard to get severe weather unless you get a hurricane like a barrel situation, or a freak cold front that might pass through, but those become rather rare once we hit like May. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to bounce off what Austin said, everything he said was pretty much why the severe weather season has been denoted for spring. It's a transitionary period. Warmer air is actually fighting with the cooler air that is in the northern latitudes, and us sitting here in the middle latitudes are just in the middle of all the mix of the cool air and warm air trying to fight for its place in the United States, or at least in the mid latitudes here. So as we move more towards the end of spring or beginning of summer, the warmer air will start to push towards the northern United States, or the northern mid latitudes, as I should say, mainly between around 50 to 30 degrees north. But that colder air will start to fight towards it, or fight it for its place there, and or also retreat a little bit as we move more to the summertime, and that allows for instability to occur, and different types of storms to move through. And like Austin said, the jet stream, which is the main driver of all of these systems that will be moving through, especially the one that moved through on Tuesday, and for through the rest of the season here. And also, March is actually one of the windier months for most cities around the Arctics, as well as most of the country as well. But yeah, that's pretty much what drives our severe weather season. That's why it's denoted the severe weather season, because it's a transitionary period where temperatures are expected to get a little bit warmer. And as this mixed with the windy months that we have ahead, as well as the moisture that we may encounter throughout the windier months, that could present some tornadoes, some damaging winds associated with these storms here. And as we move into the summer, it looks to die down a little bit before the next transitionary period, getting to the cooler months, which is, as we know, as the fall.
I think just to back up both your points, starting with Austin, you mentioned something about imbalance. Obviously, the atmosphere wants to stay balanced. The way you can think of the best synonym for this is if you get yourself into a cold, and you get yourself sick. Essentially, your body is having a reaction to fighting off that sickness, to basically help to make yourself better by getting rid of whatever is troubling you, virus, allergies, that kind of thing. It's trying to thwart that off by you being sick. Essentially, you could call our atmosphere in being sick in a way by having these severe weather events happening.
that's
Essentially,
what fevers are.
Yeah.
yes.
If
Yeah,
your body's
exactly.
trying to warm itself up, and there's a limit, there's a limit. But that the fevers are your body's natural way to try to fight off stuff because a lot of those things, a lot of parasites and whatnot, can't live in warm uh, environments like that. That's also why you feel so miserable.
Mhm.
See, to go over the point, yeah, it's just the atmosphere wants to stay in balance with itself. It always does, and so things like this happen, especially when you have this transitionary period, because it's just not a la di da like slow little trot transitionary period over to the warm air just easily coming back. No, the warm air has to essentially like fight its way through. And the cold air and warm air are kind of still like fighting over each other about who wants to control certain areas, and essentially the jet stream kind of separates those two air masses from one another to help produce those severe weather events. Also, when you get lots of warmer air at the surface, which is usually triggering lots of these events, warm air usually rises very quickly, very rapidly, especially in the spring season. When you get intense amount of updraft, that usually leads to intense downdraft to what's the word I'm looking for? Accommodate for it, and the intense downdraft is resulting in the rain and essentially the power of the thunderstorm in and of itself. So the stronger updraft you get, which is from warm temperatures, which is from the jet stream acting up, all these certain events, as you guys mentioned, that kind of just leads into why spring is our season for severe weather.
It's when the atmosphere is when air masses can become the most buoyant. Because if you got a lot of cold air up above, and it's been the winter, and if it gets cold at the surface, you think about how cold it is, above us, with the exception of temperature inversions. That's a different topic. Um, so you get that you start to warm up at the surface, and that air is just going to rise, and it's going to rise quickly. And if it takes any sort of moisture with it, that's when you start getting thunderstorms, and then you start mixing up other stuff, and that's when things start to get nasty. So it's all about balance, and we'll see. Well, as we're recording, we'll see some of that tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll see some of it, some more of it going forward at some point, this month, next month, and maybe May. But usually by about June or July, things start to calm down. Usually,
Mhm.
that's not a forecast, because everything starts to get so hot, at least here. It's also why, generally speaking, the farther north you go, the less of a chance of severe weather happens. I didn't see much severe weather when I was working in upstate New York. It just didn't
Mhm.
happen all that often. Um, Once I moved to Illinois, and then especially here, started to see a lot more of it. So, New England, a little bit too far north for good, sustainable, severe weather. It's a little cooler there. The transitionary period isn't as abrupt or isn't as strong. I mean, what is the difference between their winter and their spring? How many degrees is that? 4 or 5, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
It's-
here, our bottom average is 56, and right now we're sitting at our average is what, 66 now.
Yeah, it's around
Something
it's
like
And
around the
the
60s.
the bottom of our average happened in early January, and we're March 3rd now, and our average high has already increased 10 degrees, and we
Mhm.
know where it tops out.
Yeah.
So it's a quick thing, and that's it's all about location, and like we've been saying, balance.
I was just going to say on the opposite end of the equation, you mentioned going up north. What about going down south? You don't hear about tornadic activity much in like the central part of Central America, Mexico,
Mhm.
Nicaragua, Honduras. You don't hear about much
No.
about tornadic
Yeah.
activity there because they're close to the equator, they're close to
Right.
the median of things as well. So we're
Similar
in
thing with Hawaii.
yeah.
And if we want to stay in the continental U.S., Arizona and New Mexico ain't exactly known for their big severe weather seasons either.
It's not
Um,
much cold air over there for it to interact with the warm air in place
or moisture,
or
for that
moisture.
matter.
Yeah.
Um, and Florida, Florida gets its fair share of at least severe thunderstorms. Tornadoes happen, but not as much as you might think. But of course, then they get hurricanes, and that's kind of, it's always warm, it's always moist. So
Hmm.
their transitionary period isn't all that abrupt either, much like New England. But then they have other stuff to worry about, like hurricanes, and I don't think Maine's gotten a hurricane in the past couple of years. So
Yeah, it's not very often for Maine to see a hurricane,
no,
but
too far
yeah.
north.
I was just gonna say proximity to water for Florida. Water is it usually has more of a higher specific heat content. What that essentially means is
Ooh.
water does not warm up as quickly as the surface does. And when obviously the point of all this is that we're all trying to get to is, especially since you're around water, or if you're in a landmass that doesn't change temperatures as rapidly, you're less prone to getting these tornadic activity, these tornadic events, essentially. So, yeah.
Mhm.
And the water not cooling or warming as fast
Yes.
as the air is why you get lake effect snow in Buffalo and Erie and
Mhm.
Cleveland and all
And
that. That's
Dallas.
And
obviously
now
the
Dallas, yeah.
oh yeah, and Dallas, forgot the lake effect, the smallest lake effect I've ever seen.
I imagine
What
just
is this?
I imagine just taking like a 10-minute drive, or it's probably longer than that, like 20-30 minute drive across like the Dallas Fort Worth metro area. Like it's heavy snow and it's broad daylight, and it's heavy snow and then broad daylight. It was
Right.
really that happened just about, like, I think it was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, something
Dallas,
like
they
that.
had some snow showers around there. That
Last big cold snap.
rare occurrence,
Yeah.
yeah, quite impressive. You should go out and check it if you're intrigued by that. Yeah, I think we went over all the reasons for it. So cool. Last thing I want to do is our trivia questions. Obviously, Matt isn't here, so we're not gonna count this, I guess, per se. But I did want to ask you all the questions just because this kind of tailors into the topic of everything. Last year, um, obviously, Beryl gave us the bulk of our um, tornadic threat last year.
Hmm.
I think it was a total of 68 tornadoes, I think.
Tornado
67
warnings.
warnings, 43 confirmed.
Hmm.
I have that burned into my brain.
So that was a very rare occurrence, obviously, for us in the Architects. Memorable, historic. You can name all those synonyms for that.
All those superlatives.
My question for y'all is, how many tornadoes were reported in the Architects during the spring months, March
Once.
Oh, in the
through
spring?
May? The spring. How much did the spring actually produce? This is kind of hyping up Barrel per se, but how much did the spring actually produce last
We
year?
know it's bigger than 67, or at least bigger than 43. You said confirmed tornadoes.
Confirmed tornadoes.
Yeah, bigger than 43. Um,
You think so?
yeah.
Well, think it out loud. Since this isn't for points, I don't mind collaborating a little bit.
Uh-huh.
43 confirmed tornadoes. That was over half
Wait.
over half the tornadoes that were confirmed last year. So,
That was in
and
July.
I have a. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember severe weather season, aside from Barrel, being all that last year,
Hmm.
because we were kind of, low key worried about it because of the staffing transition that we were also having at the
I
time.
came in June. Yep, just after.
Hmm.
So I'd say maybe 10, if
And
that.
confirmed. You know what? I was thinking like it probably is not bigger than 43, maybe around 43, but it's not bigger than 43 because that barrel happened in July. I was thinking it happened in the
Yes.
spring months, but
You.
so I don't think it will be as much as 43. I would say confirmed tornadoes, maybe I would say 5 I would say 16, just to say not 15. 16.
CJ would have gotten it. It's 21.
21.
21
21 from March through May last year.
Hmm.
Yep.
through May last year. How
Wow. It was kind of
that
active though. We did kind of have an active severe weather season last year.
I've slept since then.
I think I saw two main tornadic days, I guess per se. I think it was one in March, one in May when I was looking it up.
Yeah.
But the rest were just like sparse, like one on a random day in March or April.
Right.
You know what? It would make sense because I was on mornings that whole time. It would make sense that I might not remember it all that well.
Yeah.
Because I would have been working the severe weather days anyway. Unless, well, we didn't really have any. There were no morning issues, as far as I can remember, with that. So 21.
Yeah.
I think the only morning tornado warning that we had was when Matt was off for that whole week, that first week in May. There was one tornado warning that I had to do. It was my first ever one too.
I do remember that one, and for whatever reason, we had swapped that day.
Yeah.
I had come in to do the noon and 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I was about to walk out the door, and then I got the text notification about a tornado warning. So I looked at my phone and went, "Okay, fine, I'll leave."
Oh man, that's wild. Just to go on the last point though, because Beryl had, I think, what was it, 43 confirmed tornadoes. I think if you add that plus the 21 in spring, all of spring, and Beryl had 43 in one day. First of all, just wild from Beryl again. But if you add both those up, I think it totals up to 64. I think there was a total of, I could be wrong with this exact number, but I think it's somewhere around 68 total tornadoes of all of last year. So the point is,
yeah, because after Beryl, things calmed down. We didn't have much weather to talk about. Period.
No. So I mean, Beryl and spring accommodated for 65 out of the 68 total tornadoes in all of the year. So that goes to show, if you don't have something like Beryl, you pretty much have all of the tornadic activity kind of suppressed into 3 months.
Right, suppressed and compressed into spring, and then maybe a little bit in the fall, and one or two in the winter, and that's really because summer, like we said earlier, summer it gets hard to sustain anything, rain, storms, clouds, because it is so hot. So the weather's fun that way though.
Yeah, you don't have any bit of a cool down with that. Yeah, it's rough. But anyways, we're prepping up for severe weather season here at KSLA News 12. Obviously, March has just started, so we're ramping up our severe weather coverage. And it starts again this week, so stay weather aware with us, especially during these next couple months. Yeah, thanks for joining us. All right, hopefully Matt will be on the next one, but trust me, he's doing all right. But anyways, yeah, we'll look forward to the Met Chat next week. As for us, we will sayonara. See you later. And see you again next week. Peace out.
See ya.
Welcome back. First Low Weather Breakdown. I hope you enjoyed that Met Chat. Thanks for watching here. I'll be back tomorrow, 10:30 on Friday for the last day of the work week and the last day of the week's worth of First Low Weather Breakdown podcast. We'll break down that weekend rain again one more time. Expected for Saturday. So watch out for that. But yeah, we'll be back again here for tomorrow, 10:30. Be there, be square. Most importantly, be weather aware. Have a great rest of your Thursday. See ya.